Season 5 is finally here. The break is over, we can put down our fan fictions and comic books, and enjoy the thing we love most about My Little Pony, complaining about the show. And we start off with another two-parter called Cutie Markless. So how does this fare up against other season openers? In part 1, the main six find themselves in a strange town, where equality is the name of the game and any sign of individuality is met with a swift kick to the jaw, metaphorically speaking, after revealing a crystal map of the former treehouse that leads to the middle of seemingly nowhere. I'm interested to see where the map takes them this season, as I'm sure it'll be reincorporated at least a couple times. It feels strange to have My Little Pony tackle such an adult concept like communism, even if only on a surface level, and believe me, I know I'm not the first person to point out this comparison, but it is obvious to everyone else, right?
We don't complicate when you learn to simplify. Life is oh so.
I like how toward the middle of the first part, each character has developed their own beliefs on the town, and I think it fit their characters well. Pinkie Pie, who wasn't written like a total idiot this episode, doesn't believe their phony cheerfulness, and as such, is the least trusting of the six. Applejack, who hasn't come up with their own conclusions yet, sees the town as off-the-wall crazy. Twilight is trying to figure out why the map sent them there and doesn't yet seem too concerned with the townsfolk. Rainbow is completely bothered by the fact that competitiveness has been essentially banned and doesn't trust them. Fluttershy seems to love the town and their sense of equality and doesn't seem the least bit suspicious, and Rarity, hates the fashion sense of the town. Now, compare this scene to the one in A Candlelight Wedding. In an almost identical setup, Twilight was the only one that was the least bit suspicious of a character none of them ever met.
And I am not taking it out on Cadence. You're all just too caught up in your wedding planning to notice that maybe there shouldn't even be a wedding.
Here, each character actually formed their own opinions based on what they might actually think in a believable way. The supporting characters of Sugar Belle, Party Favorite, etc. were written pretty well and actually added development to the story rather than just being pawns in their leader's scheme, which led the main six to a cave where each one of their cutie marks were being held, and of course, this leads to them being captured and stripped of their cutie marks. So part 2 kicks off with the main six trying to break out of their cottage prison, and Fluttershy has chosen to sneak out and get their cutie marks back. Oh, and how is this for character development? Nobody said a word to Fluttershy, and she convinced herself to go along with the plan.
Me? You've been saying how great this place is since we got here. Well, that's because every pony is so nice, and their village is so pretty, and... Oh, you're right. They probably would believe me. I hate to lie to them. They've been so welcoming and friendly. Aside from locking us in here and trying to brainwash us into abandoning the things that make us special. Okay, I'll do it.
I also like how Fluttershy becoming the only hope of the main six came naturally, and it made sense for her to be the one to say how she's changed, as she was the most open to the idea of the town back in part 1. So towards the end, those supporting characters I mentioned earlier really help the main six who can't even keep up with the fleeing Starlight Glimmer. And even though we just met these ponies, they act like established characters with roots as friends that go back long before this thing ever happened.
This is where I first met Starlight.
Maybe you can reminisce another time. She's almost to the caves.
Feel like an airdrop.
It's really refreshing to see supporting characters written this well. As for Starlight Glimmer as the villain, I thought she was really well done and had the cadence of a strict dictator. And while we all knew she was evil from the start, I liked her because she was able to have these ponies obey her every word. And while any outsiders may be able to tell that her motives are obviously evil, those trapped in her web may have either been brainwashed into thinking that's all for the good, or are too afraid to speak out against her, much like a real dictatorship. Which made me wonder how she came to power in the first place. I'd like to think that like a real cult leader, she was able to convince everyone that individuality went against the greater good. But I guess that's getting kinda dark. The song I thought was wonderful too. The lyrics are great and got across the overall style and theme of the episode, much like Art of the Dress or the song from Bats. And I must have listened to it at least 5 times already, because it's catchy as hell and really dark. I especially love the line, "You can't have a nightmare if you never dream." As for everything else, the animation has stepped up its game and is at its best, and the voices were perfect this time around, and even the jokes are really solid. So overall, I love this episode. I think it's probably my favorite season opener, and I'm not one to love these adventure ones too much, as I think the show excels when it deals in slice-of-life episodes focusing on one character's development. But here, the writers did a pretty fantastic job. and I can't wait to see what else the season's got for us. So that's it for my first review. Hopefully I will get better at this, but thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you guys in the next one.